Welcome back to Ramadan Bites. A very interesting story there. Now, let's move on to our second guest of the day, who is a champion of human and civil rights and the founder of the Noor initiative, which works tirelessly to give former prisoners a second chance in society. Before we speak to him, let's take a look at some of their work.
For us, often people who genuinely have a real deep understanding of issues and problems are often best placed to author solutions, and that's why we back people like Bilal and the Noor initiative. Maybe 50% of our students come from the communities they seek to serve. Now, in some people's eyes, that can be difficult and problematic. But if you're engaged in social change, actually people who understand the issues and the problems are often best placed to author solutions that are appropriate and popular and fit for purpose and built to last. And I think Bilal fits into that category, really. He really understands the cycles that people can get involved in and really can help share some of the ideas of maybe how he got onto a difficult or troublesome past and how he maybe has rethought where he wants to go in the future and can inspire and work with others to help them make positive choices, to help get their lives back on track.
A great insight there into what our next segment is all about. Now, our next guest is also here to talk about an upcoming event which is called Secure Estate of Mind. Welcome to Ramadan Bites, Mr. Bilal Dunn.
Fantastic.
Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, bikhair, alhamdulillah, rabbil alamin.
Now, explain to us a bit about Noor Initiative, what it's all about, and what inspired you to begin this.
Okay, Noor Initiative, what it is essentially a media company that I kind of use as a conduit for hard-to-reach groups and kids that are furthest from the labour market to access full-time university education, but with scholarships that are paid for by corporate organisations that support us. But we also have a media model that runs within that we kind of engage young communities with. And we have a fantastic feed-through as well into other organisations.
Right.
So the whole idea really and the whole premise behind it was to really kind of try and shift the common narrative, which sees a lot of, our inner city young youth kind of quite typically underachieve, and really kind of challenge the education disparity in a meaningful way.
Okay. And why would you say it's important for the youth to be involved in such projects like this?
I would say the reason, it's extremely important. If we think about the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, "Al-mar'u ala dini khalili, falyandur ahdukum man yukhali." That a man is always upon the religion of his friend, so look to his friend. So if we don't have an opportunity for people to be able to liberate themselves out of their previous lifestyle choice and develop a new social landscape for them to kind of develop in, it's going to be extremely difficult for that person to develop in a very meaningful way. So this is why I feel that these organisations are extremely important. And in some ways, it's better if people have actually experienced and gone through that and kind of navigated their way through that challenging social landscape and managed to kind of come through the other side. It's far more effective, and this is why I feel that it's important.
Okay. Now, am I right in saying that a lot of work you're involved in with the youth are those who have been in prison as well?
Some of them. I tend to work with early intervention prior to them actually going into custody. And I also, assist brothers with exit strategies once they've kind of gone through that challenging period of their life. What you tend to find is that a lot of them are barred from civil participation as a result of their previous convictions. In places like Norway, they have something called the reintegration guarantee, where it's incumbent upon all the statutory services to be able to engage the returning inmate. We're quite a way away from that, but we're not as bad as the States, where, the level of felon disenfranchisement in the States is so bad that once the prisoner is released, it's almost like a civil death. And they're absolutely barred from civil participation in any way. So, it's increasingly important that we kind of address these issues because we have a debt to the returning inmate in order for him to be able to kind of galvanise his approach towards life. And be given the opportunity.
Now, of course, there are many youth organisations out there who are all doing their respective work, which is great. But your particular methods that you use, what makes them different? How do you approach these?
I think you have to have a firm level of integrity in anything that you're doing. And I think what I offer is an opportunity for a young community or a young person to be able to see how I managed to liberate myself from that previous lifestyle choice. And they get a firm understanding of exactly how that is done. And I give them the benefit of being able to optimise my own network in a way which many other organisations can't really do. I also really understand how to navigate my way through some of the sensitivities within households, especially households that share our own religious orientation. in a way that some of the other statutory services don't have the benefit of being able to do. So I think it's important, that those sensitivities are met, because if a family is inviting you in, you're just a bolt on into what's happening really within the household itself. And this is what needs to be understood. When we're coming in to come and assist a family, that's our role, is there to assist. It's not there to, take the lead. It's there to support the family. I have a fantastic program called Peace, which is parental efficiency and child engagement, which is helping parents reconnect with their youth communities that have come into repeat contact with the criminal justice system.
Right.
So that's the whole premise why that is being developed, in order to kind of really kind of broach that gap between parents and young communities that have come into contact with the police.
Right. Now, I'd like to talk a bit about yourself. I mean, it's great work that you're doing. It's very inspirational. What would you say drives you to what you do in your particular discipline?
I would definitely say my Islam, ya akhi. Wallahi al-Adim. I mean, I use it as a central referencing point to everything that I do. Prior to my Islam, I used to throw myself into haram with only the promise of Jahannam as a comfort to me, ya akhi. And, it's only through my own tarbiyah, learning Quran, becoming more active, in the areas of dawah, studying, learning the language, so I could become more connected with the ayat of Quran, that I really began to go through that difficult journey. And alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me tawfiq in this very small area where I can maybe make some changes. And it could maybe be a source of rahmah for me on a day when only these are going to be accepted from us, inshallah ta'ala.
Sure. And how can the youth optimize their own potential? Because everyone has potential in their own way, right?
Yeah. I mean, I always say that, given the opportunity to do good, most people will.
Yes.
And this is what I tend to find across the board in all the communities that I tend to work with. And, you never really, fail until you quit, until you say to yourself, well, actually, do you know what, I'm never going to be able to break past this barrier. What I would say to young communities is optimize the family network that you already have present within your household.
Yes.
Because what you would find is the advice and the nasiha that you're receiving from your parents, receiving from uncles, receiving from aunties. On the whole, in some cases, of course, we have some harrowing stories, but in most cases, this nasiha is sahih. You can really be reliant upon that, and they're going to give you something that is sound. So I would say don't be negligent of that. Make sure that you engage them in the way that you feel is necessary. But also as well, what I would say is optimize resources that we have in the communities. People like myself, community leaders, maybe people that are connected to the masajid. Because in doing that, what you're doing is broadening your social landscape, your set of network. And and you'll be able to feed into different areas of the community which you may not have felt were accessible.
Yes. I'm sure there are many people watching out there who are very interested in getting involved in some of your work. How can they do that?
You can contact me via email. My email is info@thenoorinitiative.org. You can go online and see us at www.thenoorinitiative.org. I also have a seminar which will be coming up at Middlesex University next Friday called Secure a State of Mind. And that's really kind of challenging the prison system and the resettlement system. And it's a look at who it fails.
Yes.
So I have some of the leading criminologists that are going to be giving keynotes that day, really kind of breaking down the construct of criminology and the role that plays. His name is Dr. Martin Glynn. He's just authored a book very recently called Black Men, Dissistance and Invisibility, where he really looks at, the BAME community and has a lot to say to that. Also have the High Sheriff of London who supported me in this. The Princess of Iraq is going to be attending, who I now do some press work for. So it's got some decent profile. So, I mean, if people have an understanding of, or want to develop an understanding of the kind of work that we're doing at the Noor Initiative, probably be a good idea for them to maybe come down. It's between the Asr and Maghrib, inshallah ta'ala, next Friday, between 5:15 and 9:30, inshallah ta'ala. So everybody's welcome. You can get tickets reserved free via Eventbrite. Or you can email me at info@thenoorinitiative.org and I can reserve tickets.
And you can give all the information that they
need.
need. And let's remind everyone, it's NOOR.
That's NOOR. That's right, NOOR.
Bilal Dunn, thank you so much for joining us on Ramadan Bites. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Thank you very much.